be difficult for you to come back, but I can assure that you will get lots of tips about the placement year. You will just go into next year. So I'm sure you all will have great placement opportunities. But today, our previous students, our lovely previous students, they're here to share their placement experience with you. So they will share some tips with you, so you will kind of have an idea what's waiting for you next year. Okay? So first speaker will be Ollie, Sim,
Okay.
Sim, Michael, and Yana. So just please join me to welcome our students, guys.
Hi guys, I'm Sim. I'm a BSc marketing student in my 4th year now. My presentation is going to be a bit different to these guys, I feel, because I did a operations and finance placement. I will go more into detail about that later, but in my placement I was really fortunate as well to be involved in those of the assessment centres and like the assessment activities. So being on the other side of it, I think it would be useful for me to give you guys like some top tips on what you can do for your assessment centres. So I did my placement at JP Morgan. Here's some interesting pictures there. I was based down in Bournemouth, but I had 2 days a week up in London as well. And although it was a finance and operations placement, I think it's really important that even though you guys are doing like marketing and advertising, I went for a finance placement to challenge myself, but I still tried to incorporate as much marketing into my placement because obviously I was still passionate about it while I was on placement. So in terms of like digi-comms, I was involved in writing a blog post for all of us interns to interact with all the interns in like New York and Mumbai, and also just placement in general. It's just really fun and really exciting, and you can mould it to how you want to have it. So we'll go into more detail later, but I did loads of the careers fairs here, and one of my most common questions was, I do marketing or I do advertising or PR, how come you chose a finance placement? With our course, it's kind of business and marketing, so I was fortunate enough to have like the background knowledge. But my key top tip is, even if you're looking on those company websites and it doesn't say marketing explicitly, but it's something that you want to do and you want to challenge yourself, then honestly just go for it, because doing a placement at JP Morgan was one of the best things that I possibly could have done. So as I said, my placement was really like marketing specific, so I'm just going to get Ollie to tell you a little bit about his placement, because his was very much involved in digi-comms as well.
Okay, hello everyone. So yes, I work for a company called UBM, which you probably haven't heard of before. They're called United Business Media. They're the second largest events company in the world, and they organise over 800 events across the world. To business audiences, from security, health and safety, to air traffic management, and even things like the pizza show as well. So lots of different events. My role there as a marketing assistant involved, I was working for Europe's largest security show at the time, called IFSEC International. And during that time I got involved in various different digital comms. I was responsible for transitioning the website onto a new platform, so that involved a lot of digital kind of experience with that. I set up various social media campaigns whilst I was there, worked on a lot of email drivers, so segmenting our data and then sending that out to the various audiences. So for all of that you have to write different messages, so copywriting is involved with the different audiences, whether you've got somebody who's looking to buy a CCTV camera, or they might be a CCTV provider, for example. And then I worked on, what other bits did I do? So as I said, social media, which is involved sort of, using Hootsuite and things like that, those platforms to schedule Facebook messages, Twitter messages. We even set up some Instagram accounts as well. And then we also worked with various sort of clients, sort of PR agents and so to kind of strategically distribute our comms through various other websites and things like that. So yeah, it's a real mix of kind of digital communications, and quite daunting at first, because when you press a button and you know it's going out to, you know, 250,000 people, that's quite daunting. And you will get training on it and everything, so don't worry too much. But these are the kind of the things that you're going to be, you know, it's likely that you're going to be doing. You know, when you go into your placement these days, so much of it's online, there's so much digital content out there, and your job is to sort of come in, bring some fresh ideas around, and see what you can do to kind of revitalise it and hopefully get the message out there. So whether you're, you know, appealing to a business-to-business audience or you're business-to-consumer, it doesn't really matter. You've just got to think of some fresh ideas. And I did lead generation whilst I was there, so trying to get people to sign up and exhibit at the show, that was another part of what I did. So you've really got to kind of give them a short, sharp message and communicate to them so that they go, yeah, actually that's something I'm interested in, and then kind of generate those leads from there. So there's so much involved, really. It's, you know, it could take me all day to explain what there is, but kind of just having a good knowledge in, you know, digital platforms, how they function, what you can do to, you know, best way to utilise them and so on is really beneficial. And I think that's where this unit comes in, with reinforcing that and giving you an idea on how to set the strategy, what you need to do, how to appeal to various different audiences, and really how to maximise the effectiveness of the tools. Because although you'll all probably end up working at some point or another with digital communication tools of some description, they're likely to be very different from one another. But you'll find that there are obviously commonalities. You know, when you come back and you all start talking to each other about what you did, you probably find that you've ended up doing relatively similar things, but obviously for different audiences, different companies, and so on. So, yeah, that's that really. I don't know what else to sort of say. I mean, I know Sim's going to expand on a few other bits.
Thank you. So, thank you. As I said, although I did a finance and operations placement, one thing that I was really interested in is outreach, and I really wanted to get involved in the events. So this is the stand we actually had here in KGO1 last year now at the Careers Fair. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk in this placement today is we got kind of told, when you're in your interview, you get so caught up in knowing all your research that you've done, and it's really daunting, those assessment centres. And my placement PAL leader started off like this time 2 years ago now with some common sense kind of top tips, and they've really helped with my assessment centre. And also these are the things that kind of we've got back in feedback as well from assessment centres, so I think they're really useful to share with you guys. So kind of when you're applying for your placement, I'm sure you've been told about these like so many times, but make sure that you are looking across loads of different platforms, and in particular loads of people forget to go on the actual company's website. So the Guardian top 10, like 100 graduate, I think it's the top 100 graduate schemes. If you go through that book, there's so many companies in there that you might have never thought of applying for. And if you then go onto their websites, they may not actually advertise their placements on My Career Hub or Rate My Placement. So they say to us that they're actively looking for those students who go to seek them and not just go onto a website and see their advertisement. One thing that I wish someone had told me is make note of all the answers that you guys put in your application forms, because the amount of times you see the same sort of questions coming up again and again, and you might have written like an A-star answer for one of them, 3 days later you've probably forgotten what you've put in there. So just copy and paste it, and also that helps with spell check as well, because most of these applications don't have spell check. And looking at some of the applications that we received on placement, it is quite funny when people can't spell things. Also think beyond your placement year as well. So although this is a year's experience, great, you can challenge yourself. Chances are you may be offered a graduate's job scheme afterwards, or even a job offer afterwards. So think about, yeah, okay, this is a great year for kind of your experience, but is this somewhere that I want to build my career? So as I said, I chose JP Morgan because I really, really wanted to kind of explore what else I could do other than marketing and kind of test the boundaries. Because great, if it's not for you, it's not a year wasted. It's not like you're going into it as your career. You can just be like, okay, I've tried that. Now I can try something else after uni. And sometimes it works out well and sometimes it doesn't. So definitely think about it beyond your placement year. Go to as many assessment centres as possible. I know that second year can be quite stressful, but once you keep going to them and you kind of learn what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and also ask for feedback every time you go as well, because you might go to 3 before you get invited to your dream job. And if you've already been to 3 assessment centres and then you go for one that is a role that you really, really want, you've already got 3 days of experience on what sort of questions you're going to be asked, and also interacting with other candidates as well. Keep working hard in your second year. I know it's really everyone's like, oh, it's only 30%, but when you're applying for even grad schemes in your final year, most of them do ask for your second year grades. And it's not saying that's the be all and end all. If you don't get your 2-1, you're not going to get that grad job or you're not going to get that placement. It's just keep working hard. And Seville actually pulled me into a room in second year and told me I needed to pull my grades up. And it's one of the things that kept getting pulled up in interviews, oh, you did really well in your second year, well done. And also, don't worry, I know it's really, really stressful, but my whole cohort managed somehow to get a placement. And I think yours is now 30 weeks instead of 40 weeks. So I think you can apply in December and still do your 30 weeks placement. So if all your friends are getting your placements now, please don't worry. My housemate only started hers in September when we were doing our placements, and she still managed to really enjoy herself, have such a good time. So don't get stressed out, it's meant to be enjoyable. Okay, so at your assessment centre, like I said, I was really fortunate to be involved in some of the assessment centres and kind of the assessment activities that JP Morgan had on offer. And these aren't reflective of what JP Morgan account for, it's just things that I've noticed as well. So one of the things is talking to other candidates. You might think it's a really trivial thing, but actually they look at how you interact with other people in a stressful situation, and I got told to have a look at people interacting with each other, and if they're talkative or if they're a bit shy, if they're a bit nervous. So definitely talk to the other candidates. And actually it can be your motivation as well. When I was in my assessment centre, this one guy was like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, marketing at Bournemouth University. And he turned around and was like, well, why are you here then? And I was like, oh, okay, right. And he actually ended up not getting the job because he was so kind of rude and abrupt. And it was my motivation then in that assessment centre to be actually, I'll show you why I'm at this assessment centre. Be the timekeeper and take notes. It's really important. Most of your assessment centres will have group activities. So just keep a note of the time and just be oh, guys, we've got 10 minutes left. Or be oh, I'll take the notes and I'll write it down. These little things we do look out for. And I know from experience, it got noted in my feedback that, oh, you took the time. Oh, you wrote the notes down. And it's showing that you can keep organised and you can manage a group as well. Ask questions and encourage others to speak. So my housemate at the moment, I met her in my assessment centre, and our feedback that we got back from our assessment centre was you two worked really well with encouraging each other when one was quiet or one was shy. You were oh, Alicia, what do you think happened here? And it's really noticeable because that's what you want in the workplace. They're not looking for someone who's just focused on themselves. You will be working in a team on placement, and they want you to encourage the others to do well. And be relatable. So this is what the guy who did my interview said. This is the reason that I had the job, was they hired me for the person, not my knowledge. So I was able to have a conversation with him in my interview. Okay, yeah, I was really anxious, I was really nervous, but I was still asking him questions back. And we were kind of talking about his kids and his family, and he was it was relatable, and people want to work with relatable people. There's no point in getting first and being great, but you can't talk to people. They want those social skills and they want that interaction. Okay, so during your placement year, write a list of everything that you do, whether it be for your Mahara portfolio or whether it be for your managers at the end. At the end of my placement, my managers had a review, all the managers sat in a room, and it was right, you tell me what your intern has done and I'll give them a grad scheme offer, and they literally had to argue in a room. Write down everything that you do, from the smallest little project to the charity events. We did loads of charity work on placement. Even if you organise an intern social, write it down because it's so valuable and it's so important. Network. You'll hear this word again and again and again and again on placement, and it'll make you think. Talk to people. Get people's business cards, go for coffee with them. People are so valuable. The team that I'm going in for my grad scheme now in August is someone that I go for coffee with maybe once every 2 months, and she has asked me to be in her team now when I go back for my grad scheme. So it's so important that you network. Remember that you are actually going to have to come back to uni. While you've got the spare time, honestly, get a little notebook out and start writing any dissertation idea that you have down, or any, like literally anything, because when you come back in fourth year, it is a shock to the system. You don't know how to go to lectures anymore, you don't know how to write notes, it's like starting all over again. But if you've got a little notebook that you've written down even the smallest little dissertation idea, it will be so valuable, and that's what I did, and now I'm basing my dissertation around something that I kind of thought of one evening when I was on placement. And it is a roller coaster. A placement is a really, really valuable and good experience, but you will have bad days, and no one really talks about them. It is like starting uni. When you first start, it's all exciting and you're getting to know everything, but you have to remember, yes, okay, you are an intern, but you need to think of yourself as an actual employee, and people are going to expect stuff from you. So it is a roller coaster. You will have up and downs. I wanted to quit my placement one day. One of the trainers called me useless and stupid, and I was ready to quit. But you just get over it. You go home, have a shower, go to sleep, come back in the next day. It is a roller coaster, but it is meant to be enjoyable. And finally, when you come back off your placement, it is hard, but keep getting involved. I think me and Ollie both do all the student ambassador stuff, the student rep stuff, the placement pal, because even if you've got your grad scheme job, great, you still want to build your CV. You don't want it to look like you've just come back to uni and you've given up, so keep trying to get involved. Finally, just enjoy it. It is meant to be an exciting time, like going home or kind of getting to your dream company, or even just like the things that you learn and the things that you do. And like I've met so many people in placement who actually went to Bournemouth Uni, and now they're like my best friends. So enjoy it, please. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michael Foley. It's our first Monday back. It's 11-ish, and I just want to thank you for coming out here. It's probably an early start for you as much as it is for me, so thank you for coming. We need a bit of participation from you guys. How many of you, hands up, if you looked, viewed, or applied for a placement? Great. You're doing better than me. I've done a little bit of your homework, and I've found a few jobs of interest. Some are located in places like Surrey, a lot are in London, and some are as far out as in New York, so you guys have a lot of options. I dug a little deeper, and I found the basic requirements through like my brief research. Most employees are looking for candidates that have research and numeric skills, and all of you guys are on units that do that. They're looking for someone that's creative. Again, all of you guys are on units that teach you that. They're looking for people that are passionate about emerging technologies. Now, emerging technologies are found in quite a variety of sectors, so it's up to you to decide what sector or market you want to actually apply for, find the brands that you feel are applicable to you, and apply for them. Software experience. I would say that you would need the Office suite. You need to know how to use Word, PowerPoint, especially Excel. And you do get brownie points if you know like niche software such as like Photoshop or After Effects, or variants of audio, visual, or manipulated software. Telephone and copywriting skills. Now, I'm going to say it's a fact that all of you have phones. I'm going to say it's a fact that all of you make calls, emails, and texts, so you guys can do this, so we can tick that off the list. Understanding of digital marketing tools. If PPC or SEO sounds alien to you, go on Google, it's your friend. Couple hours and you'll be experts. Experience in digital platforms. I'm going to guess that all of you guys have or had Twitter, YouTube, and you probably Snapchat yourself on the way to uni. I did as well. My advice to you guys is to make the most of the opportunities that are presented to you. I can't give you a blueprint of what an opportunity actually looks like, sorry, but I'm sure you will know what an opportunity is when it comes across you. Take it. Also, be vocal. It's okay to go into a new workplace or environment, see new faces, meet new people, and be shy and want to take the back foot. That's okay. Your colleagues are going to expect that, but the sooner you break the mold, the better. Showcase your skills. I feel like this is best illustrated through visuals. I done my work placement at Hackney Community Transport, HCT Group for short. and my role was a voluntary outreach coordinator. Now, if I followed my parameters to the T, I would have graduated placement year. But I wanted to showcase my skills, and I put myself forward for the digital marketing, and I was lead in all digital marketing communications. This then led to me freelancing, and I freelanced for a variety of organizations or brands. Most notably, the Weapon War podcast. It's a podcast full of adult gamers. They're relatively funny. So, and you may see this as additional work, but I saw this as an honor. And the final piece of advice that I want to leave you guys with is support your peers. You will go into, or you may be unfortunate to go into a workplace organization and see a lot of your peers or your workforce pinned down by stress and just deadline after deadline after deadline. My advice to you is to get involved and help them. You can see this in two ways. You can see it as expanding your experience and getting involved in other roles that you can then put into your review at the end of the year, or you can just see this as doing your daily good deed. These are my references, and that is a QR code to my website where there is a lot more examples of my work during placement year. My email is also on there if you want to get in touch. Good luck to you. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Yana, and since January I'm the PR account executive at Red Setter. Before that I was PR and marketing intern, but yay, I got promoted, so you can do it as well. My presentation is a little bit different from the previous because I'm not only giving you advice for placements and internships, I'm telling you what I did. I'm telling you a little bit of information about social media, because I thought I needed to do information. So this can be useful for your interviews or when you go on your actual placement and if you need to do social media for your agency or company. So Red Setter, it's a B2B PR and new business agency just for design and creative agencies. We're based in Brighton and we just opened an office in New York. Our clients are the top design studios in the UK, such as Rugged Edge, Carter Wong and B&B. I'm pretty sure nobody heard about them, don't worry. And our aim is to get coverage in top-tier publications like The Drum, Campaign, Design Week, and internationals like CTM and The Guardian. Our clients work in all variety of different sectors. For example, one of our clients did the branding for Camden Market, one did the packaging for Long Wolf Gin, and one did the packaging for this. I'm pretty sure everyone has this from us now. So we try to get coverage in FMCG, retail, property sectors, everything, as well as speaking opportunities for our clients for their events. So we are really involved in basically the whole thing that they do. So I'm going to tell you about a project that I did, and I was really excited about doing it. It was about a guide how design agencies can grow their business through social media. And I was doing the whole research, so I really want to share it with you because this research actually might be useful for you when you go to an interview and discuss something with potential employees. So, first my task was to research the social media presence of Design Week Top 100 and Campaign Top 100 agencies. So, for the whole month of July, I was following them on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all social media accounts they have. We benchmark them on presence, whether they have an account on any social media or not, popularity, how many followers they have, activity, how often they post on Twitter, LinkedIn in July for the whole month, basic engagement, that was whether they have a like or not, and deeper engagement is if someone commented to their post or shared it. As you can see, it's not surprising, Twitter and LinkedIn are the leading platforms for both design and advertising agencies. We couldn't get all the measurements because, for example, Pinterest doesn't show dates, so we were not sure whether it was posted in July last year or 10 years ago. Okay? And we found out that there is little deeper engagement that actually design and advertising agency can benefit from. Because if someone says, oh, cool design, nice packaging, there is no reply, which is really a shame because they can build a rapport with this person, and who knows, that might be their next client. And my other part of the research was a survey. I had to send a survey link to all agencies in our database. We managed to get 50 responses from agency leaders, from design and advertising agencies. Of course, we asked them which platforms they use, and LinkedIn and Twitter were the leading. What surprised us is when we asked them who manages them, the most they shared between several. And a side note here, this might be an opportunity for you. When you go to an interview, or even a cover letter, if you have any experience with social media, even voluntary, say that you can help them managing their social media accounts. It's a skill that sounds so basic to have, but actually 44% of agencies needs it. They need a person who can devote their time only for social media, for example, or most of their time for social media. So you will save them probably budget if they need to hire an external agency, and time, because they will just give it to you. And we asked why agencies invest in social media. Of course, the most answer got brand enhancement. Everyone knows that right now people form their opinion about companies and agencies, even you, by following them on Twitter, LinkedIn, checking their website. And the other one is attract new business, which is 45%. Every agency and company wants new clients. And a way of getting them is by showing their work on Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms. And now for you, for example, I got my placement by connecting with a person on LinkedIn. They didn't advertise internships. They didn't advertise any new jobs. I just liked the agency. I connected with the owner of the agency on LinkedIn. He liked me. He invited me for an interview. A week later, I got the placement. They created a job for me. So if you like an agency that doesn't advertise any internship, just connect with them on LinkedIn, follow them on Twitter, build a relationship with them. Who knows, they might like you, they might bring you to the team. They just might not know they need interns. The other one, social media is useful, is for media relations. You need this when you get to your placement and someone tells, oh, call this journalist. Before you're doing that, try and look at them on Twitter at least. See what they're talking about, see their interest, make that relationship with them, and then pitch your story to them. Because if you know what they're talking about and what they're interested in, it's way easier than actually making a conversation with them. And we found out from another research by HubSpot that 70% of journalists say that Twitter is the most important channel for reaching them. So we contacted a journalist from Computer Arts magazine, and he said that he has hundreds of emails per day that he doesn't have the time to look at, but if he scrolls through Twitter and he sees something that he likes, he's more actually interested in looking into it and actually writing an article about it. And the last thing was staff engagement and recruitment. Again, so many agencies are posting, oh, we need new people, we need interns, we need PR directors, or whatever. Just go to your Twitter and search for interns, hashtag intern. I'm pretty sure there will be at least 10 agencies that are looking for interns at the moment. And of course, there are challenges. No surprise, the biggest challenge is the lack of time, lack of expertise, lack of budget. And here, you can come in and bring your skills again. If you can save them time to the agency that you're applying to, they will see something else in you, they will see something more. You're not just an intern they pay, hopefully. You will save them time and you do something for them, which they later will appreciate more. And of course, as something else, like every campaign, you need to have a strategy, and now it's a social media strategy. Our top tips from our guide was to define your target audience, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to do this here. Then when you know your target audience, you'll be able to see which platforms they use the most. The same applies to now when you're looking for internships. Go to the website, see their Twitter or LinkedIn, try to find the owner of the agency or the PR director, marketing director, connect with them, see what their interests are, and build the relationship on social media first, and then apply for them. And they will notice you because they might remember you. It's easier. Work out what you want to say. For agencies, this is like design agencies are great at finding that distinctive point for their clients when they're doing adverts or the packaging. But to be honest, they're horrible at doing it themselves. So every agency, and personally I think every person, needs to find that unique thing and work around it, because there is something that distinguishes you from others. And when you find this,